Hey everyone, hand waving. Have you ever thought about this? How did your body grow from just one single cell into billions of cells? Exploding head. Or how does your body heal when you get a cut or injury? Well, behind all of this is an amazing biological process called mitosis. Mitosis is happening inside your body right now, even while you're watching this video. In this video, I'm going to explain mitosis in the simplest way possible, step by step, so you can easily understand it and remember it for exams as well. We'll go through each stage, see what happens inside the cell, and by the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how cells divide and multiply. So let's get started with mitosis. Now that we know why mitosis is important, let's understand what it actually is. Mitosis is a type of cell division where one parent cell divides into two new cells. But here's the most important part: these two new cells are completely identical to the parent cell. That means they have the same structure, the same function, and most importantly, the same DNA. You can think of mitosis like making an exact photocopy page facing up. Just like a photocopy looks exactly like the original, the daughter cells produced in mitosis are exact copies of the parent cell. Also, in mitosis, the number of chromosomes remains the same. For example, if the parent cell has 46 chromosomes, each daughter cell will also have 46 chromosomes. So in simple words, mitosis is a process that creates identical cells while maintaining the same genetic information. And this is what makes it perfect for growth and repair in our body. Now you might be wondering, where exactly does mitosis happen in our body? Thinking face. Mitosis occurs in what we call somatic cells. These are basically all the normal body cells, not reproductive cells. For example, your skin cells, muscle cells, and bone cells are all somatic cells, and they continuously undergo mitosis. Think about your skin. Every day, old skin cells die and new ones are produced. This replacement happens because of mitosis. Even when you get a small cut or injury, your body repairs itself by producing new cells through mitosis. So basically, mitosis is happening all the time in your body, even right now, helping you grow, heal, and stay alive. But remember, mitosis does not occur in reproductive cells like sperm or egg. Those are formed by a different process called meiosis, which we'll cover in the next video. Alright, now let's understand why mitosis is so important. Mitosis is not just a biological process. It's something your body depends on every single day. First, growth. From a tiny baby to a fully grown adult, your body increases in size because cells keep dividing through mitosis. Second, repair. If you get a cut or injury, your body quickly produces new cells to heal that damaged area, and that happens through mitosis. Third, replacement of old or dead cells. Your body is constantly removing old cells and replacing them with new ones. For example, your skin cells are continuously being replaced. So basically, without mitosis, you wouldn't grow, your injuries wouldn't heal, and your body couldn't maintain itself. That's why mitosis is absolutely essential for survival. Now that we understand why mitosis is important, let's look at how it actually happens step by step. Mitosis is not a single action, it happens in a series of stages. There are four main stages you need to remember: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. You can also remember this easily using the shortcut PMAT. Each stage has a specific role in making sure the DNA is divided equally between the two new cells. And after these four stages, there is one more step called cytokinesis, where the cell finally splits into two. Don't worry if these names sound confusing right now. In the next slides, we'll break down each stage one by one in a very simple way. Now let's break down interphase into its three important phases, G1, S, and G2. Even though interphase is not part of mitosis, it's actually the longest and most important stage of the cell cycle, because this is where all the preparation happens. Let's start with the first phase, G1 phase, also called the growth phase. In this stage, the cell increases in size, produces proteins, and performs its normal functions. Basically, the cell is active and growing, getting ready for DNA replication. Next comes the S phase, where S stands for synthesis. This is one of the most critical steps because this is where DNA replication occurs. The cell makes an exact copy of its DNA, so each chromosome now consists of two identical sister chromatids. This ensures that both future daughter cells will receive the same genetic information. After that, we have the G2 phase, which is the final preparation stage. Here, the cell continues to grow, produces more proteins, and checks whether the DNA has been copied correctly. If there are any errors, the cell tries to fix them before moving into mitosis. So in simple terms, G1 equals growth, S equals DNA replication, G2 equals final preparation and checking. Once all these steps are completed, the cell is fully ready to enter mitosis and begin division. G0 phase is a resting stage of the cell cycle. In this phase, the cell exits the division cycle and stops preparing to divide. However, the cell is still active and continues to perform its normal functions. Some cells stay in G0 permanently, like nerve cells, while others can re-enter the cell cycle when needed. So, in simple terms, G0 phase is a resting or inactive stage of cell division. Now, let's move to the first stage of mitosis, which is called prophase. This is where the cell really starts preparing for division. Inside the nucleus, the DNA, which was loosely spread out as chromatin, begins to condense and become clearly visible as chromosomes. Each chromosome actually consists of two identical sister chromatids joined together at a point called the centromere. As prophase continues, something important happens: the nuclear membrane starts to break down. This allows the chromosomes to be free inside the cell so they can move easily in the next stages. At the same time, structures called spindle fibers begin to form. These fibers will play a very important role in moving the chromosomes later on. So, in simple terms, during prophase, chromosomes become visible. Nuclear membrane breaks down. Spindle fibers start forming. This stage sets everything up for the next step, where chromosomes will line up in the center of the cell. Now let's move on to the second stage of mitosis, called metaphase. This is one of the easiest stages to understand, and also very important for exams. In metaphase, all the chromosomes line up exactly in the center of the cell. This central line is called the metaphase plate. Now here's something very important: the spindle fibers, which started forming in prophase, now attach to each chromosome at a specific point called the centromere. These spindle fibers act like tiny threads pulling the chromosomes. They make sure that each chromosome is perfectly positioned in the middle. But why is this alignment so important? Because it ensures that when the cell divides, each new cell will receive an equal and identical set of chromosomes. So, in simple terms, during metaphase, chromosomes line up in the center. Spindle fibers attach to the centromere. The cell prepares for equal division of DNA. This stage sets the stage for the next step, where the chromosomes will finally be pulled apart. Now we move to one of the most exciting stages of mitosis, anaphase. This is the stage where the actual separation happens. Remember how each chromosome had two sister chromatids? In anaphase, these sister chromatids are pulled apart. The spindle fibers, which are attached to the centromeres, start pulling the chromatids toward opposite poles of the cell. As they separate, each chromatid is now considered an independent chromosome. This movement is very important because it ensures that both sides of the cell receive an identical set of chromosomes. You can imagine it like a tug of war, where the chromosomes are being pulled evenly to both sides. So, in simple terms, during anaphase, sister chromatids separate. They move to opposite poles. Each side gets equal genetic material. This step is crucial for maintaining genetic consistency in the new cells. Now we've reached the final stage of mitosis, called telophase. At this point, the chromosomes have already moved to opposite poles of the cell. Now, the cell starts to rebuild itself. The chromosomes begin to decondense, which means they lose their tightly packed structure and return to the form of chromatin. At the same time, a new nuclear membrane forms around each set of chromosomes. So now, instead of one nucleus, the cell has two separate nuclei. Also, the spindle fibers that helped move the chromosomes start to disappear, because their job is now complete. So, in simple terms, during telophase, chromosomes reach opposite ends. Nuclear membranes reform. Chromosomes become less visible again. This stage basically marks the end of nuclear division. After this, the cell is almost ready to split completely into two new cells. Now comes the final step of the entire process, cytokinesis. Up until now, the nucleus has divided, but the cell is still technically one single cell. Cytokinesis is the stage where the cytoplasm divides, and the cell finally splits into two separate daughter cells. In animal cells, this happens by forming a cleavage furrow. This is like a small indentation that gradually deepens until the cell pinches into two. In plant cells, it's a little different. Instead of pinching, a cell plate forms in the middle, which eventually develops into a new cell wall separating the two cells. So, in simple terms, cytokinesis divides the cytoplasm, physically separates the cell, forms two completely independent daughter cells. After this step, mitosis is fully complete. Alright, before we end, let's do a quick and easy recap of everything we've learned. Mitosis is a type of cell division that produces two identical daughter cells. It is mainly responsible for growth, repair, and replacement of cells in our body. We also learned the stages of mitosis, which can be remembered using the shortcut PMAT, Prophase, Metaphase, Anaphase, Telophase, and finally, cytokinesis completes the process by splitting the cell into two. The most important thing to remember is, mitosis maintains the same chromosome number and produces genetically identical cells. If you understand these key points, you've already mastered mitosis. So that's a complete and simple explanation of mitosis. If you understood this video, you now know how your body grows, repairs itself, and continuously replaces old cells. In the next part, we'll explore meiosis, which is a completely different type of cell division used for reproduction. And it's even more interesting because it creates genetic variation. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more easy biology explanations. And if you have any doubts, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Smile.